So the next update is a bit interesting. I've had a lot of players approach me, and a lot of you guys have asked me to explain what's happening and what's getting banned tomorrow. Now I can tell you right away. Don't worry. Most of your devices are safe. No one is getting banned. But there is one kind of thing that is worrying, and I'll definitely tap into that today. But let's take a look at those announcements. So the new arrival, I'll come to the boxes later, but first, anti-cheat announcement. Now, I've personally never heard of any cheats for evacuos, to be honest with you. I know bots have been a thing, and I know bot farms have also been a thing, but how they work, I have kind of a incomplete understanding of how the bot farms work. You've probably also seen those videos out there where you have like a store with 100 phones on the wall, and all of the phones are like playing a single game. Well, that basically, I believe how that works and what we already have in the game here. But the best to best protect the legitimate interest of all Capsuleers, the development team has always taken a firm stance against the production, sale, and use of cheats. But again, I've never seen or heard any cheat for the game, except with the with the bots. The bots are one thing that are obviously in the game. Recently we discovered some players were profiting by modifying the system environments and completing encounter missions, which violates the user agreement and impacts the interest of other players. So that's the other sentence basically I think is referring to the bot farms in a way, since you probably see, I mean we all seen the thousands of bots over the years, usually malware bots, but there's been occasions where the Raven bots are also being used, which is interesting. You have a malware bot, Raven bot, and I think some other ships have also been used. But to improve the game fairness, we have decided to prohibit logging into the game using rooted or jailbroken devices after the maintenance on March 20th, which will take some time to implement. Please ensure that you log in using untampered devices, Capsuleers. At the same time, the development team has taken legal action against cheat providers and developers to protect our rights and crack down on their activities. We welcome players to report any violation through in-game reporting or customer service center and create a better gaming environment to everyone. Now, at one point, I appreciate that they're actually doing something about those thousands of bots out there, since that's one thing that kind of, I think, bothered not only me but bothered everyone. The one thing that I want to kind of focus here is a rooted or a jailbroken device. Now, all of you guys probably are wondering what that means. What is a rooted or jailbroken device? Now, when you root your Android phone, for example, you basically unlock the bootloader and you unlock the core function. Basically, you can say that you can hack the software, the operating system. For example, Windows operating system is rooted by default. You can go into the system files and whatnot. You can do all sorts of things with it. Same thing in a similar way works with the Android phone. But although Android phones, for example, are kind of already like desktops in a way, but they lack the root option. Now with root, I've used, I haven't been using any cheats obviously, but a long time ago, like 5 or 6 years ago, I used to be quite active in the rooting community. I used to overclock and do stuff with phones. Basically, one of the goals of rooting is to improve performance. Now, we have a lot of different, purposes for rooting, but my personal purpose was to make custom ROMs and to basically overclock and improve the device performance, which of course is not cheating. It's basically making the game run better by artificially increasing the clocks and overall implementing better drivers and stuff like that. So rooting in that sense isn't a bad thing. Of course, with rooting you can crack games, obviously you can use cheats, you can do stuff like that. So it has a good side, it has a bad side. Of course, I haven't been using the bad side. I was just using it for overclocking, and I was basically, you can check out the channel. I have a section that's kind of dedicated to rooting and overclocking. I used to do that a long time ago. Now rooting for overclocking nowadays is kind of history. It's not really something that's popular. It used to be popular, but nowadays your phones are overclocked by default, so you don't really have to do it yourself. And the jailbroken device is for iOS. Doing that to iOS is much more risky and much more dangerous to Apple devices, since Apple makes sure that they made jailbroking their iPhones very difficult, and one wrong move and you can say goodbye to your device basically. So Android phones are in that aspect much easier to root. But it's I understand why they block access to root devices. Obviously, if you have root, you can probably run bots and stuff. So unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. And you might wonder, well, what about emulators? Are emulators rooted? Well, you can root your emulator, it's in the settings, but by default it is unrooted. So if you're playing the game via an emulator, I definitely recommend that you check the settings and see if you have the root option enabled. If you have the root option in the settings enabled, turn it off, and basically your problem will be solved. You should still be able to use the emulator just fine, but just check the settings in case. If you have the root option enabled, turn that off, and you should be fine. No problems with that at all. But we will see. That's one thing that we still kind of have to see how it will impact. I'm worried about fall detections. I know in some cases there used to be a long time ago, some phones have been detected like a emulator. My phone was detected by like a emulator, for example, and I wasn't able to create a new account, for example, because the game doesn't allow you to do that on a emulator. So some potential issues might arise from that, but we will see what will happen. That's my largest concern here. And as for if you have a rooted phone and if you are playing with a rooted device, you technically do have a workaround. I think there is a Magisk module. I haven't checked this for a while, but I believe there is a Magisk module that allows you to hide root. So if you do have a rooted device, you can hide the root track from certain applications and certain games. I think you can do that with this game. I don't have a rooted device with me at the moment, so I can't track it myself, but you should have an option in Magisk to basically hide root from certain apps. So if you do have a rooted device, it should work. That workaround should work. We will see how that will go when the update is live. And that brings me to the second big thing here. Technical upgrade announcement. We are performing a major technical upgrade to improve the low-level server code to optimize the gaming experience to improve game smoothness. Maintenance this week is expected to take approximately 4 hours to complete. This major technical upgrade impacts almost all core gameplay slow-level systems, so some unknown issues may arise. If you come across any bugs, please submit a report through customer support or community channels. We appreciate all Capsuleers for your participation and feedback. Once the optimization is complete, server-wide rewards will be distributed. Now, this is big. I think this is maybe the first ever server upgrade that they've done, and I think this will potentially improve the server tick. It will probably improve the loading times for the systems. Well, I expect a lot of improvements regarding the hanger stuff. You know, if you have a big inventory, it takes like 69 years and 420 months to load. So I believe that's going to be improved with this little update, with this little improvement here. And maybe 60 frames per second will be launched. I also expect some frame rate improvement with this. Does kind of smell like that's going to be the case, or at least that's probably going to be added very soon, I think. Of course, I'm also worried since it's a big update. We will see how the server stability will be on day one. I would suggest that you don't really do anything too serious for the next couple days after the patch is live, because I expect bugs. I expect things to be crazy in the next couple days. So I would avoid doing anything too serious and just wait for things to settle down, wait for the server to kind of get used to the new code and stuff. But it's a big improvement. I expect big improvements regarding the overall stability, loading times, chat server also. I believe that's also involved with this, since we all know that the server, the chat was weird in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, I know some tricks. I don't know if it works. I haven't personally did do that, but There are some tricks that can make you completely invisible in local, and that's pretty evil. That's a very big exploit. I don't know if it's fixed. I think it's fixed, but this also could have potentially affect that as well. So we will see. Now, overall, I would say decent improvements, minus the boxes. Again, I'm not a fan of the boxes. I'm just going to leave that. I'm not a fan of boxes, ships in boxes, but they're doing it, people buying it, so I guess it keeps the servers running. So I mean, in the end, I'm not going to complain much about that. But my stance on the boxes, I don't like them. I think boxes should not be in the game, but people like them, I guess. So yeah, not going to, obviously not going to spend too much on that, since yeah. But overall, a decent, interesting update. I'm definitely interested to see how the server will perform. Maybe I'm making a little joking. I'm joking, of course, but making a little prediction here. There's a good chance that the server will be offline for 24 hours. I'm just saying that. There's a chance, of course, there's a little chance that this might mess up a lot of things, and they could have just turned off the server for a day or two to fix things again. So don't be surprised and don't be alarmed if something weird starts to happen in the next couple days. It will take some time to get used to it. There will be some bugs, but it will be fixed. So my honest advice: don't do anything too serious. Let the game basically adapt itself to the new code. But definitely, I'm glad to see that they're improving the stability. That's if there's anything that I can complain about, is the stability of the server in a lot of ways. I mean, the chats disconnects, well, not all the time, but it can be very weird. The loading times for assets, for example, the contracts also take 69,420 years to load. So in that aspect, I think a lot of improvements should be made, and we will see how this update will go. Definitely exciting time to be playing the game, for sure. Since this is also the year where we get Titans, I guess on the anniversary. But anything could happen. Anything can happen. I mean, but we will see. I just thought to, make players less worry about this anti-cheat stuff, since most of your devices are not rooted, so you don't have to worry about it. If you are already involved with a rooted device, you probably already know ways to hide the root from the game, so you should not be too worried about this. How can you hide jailbreak on a iOS? Honestly, I'm not even gonna go into that, because I believe that's kind of impossible, because iOS is such a closed, dumb operating system, if you ask me. But yeah, for Android you have a solution. For iOS, I mean, I think if you have a Apple device, I don't believe that it's jailbroken. So again, this is not going to affect the vast majority of players. But if you do have a rooted device, don't worry much about it. You already know ways to hide that from the game. But that will be it for this little update. Thought to just save what I can, I guess, to help. That's my goal. I don't want players to be too worried about the anti-cheat stuff. I mean, I wish I had a rooted device. I can root this thing, but there's no need for that, because my phone is already fast, so I don't need to do anything with it. But if I ever get my hands on a rooted device, I'll definitely see, to see if that Magis module. I think the Magis module does work. I used to have it, so it should work. They haven't changed that, so you should be able to easily do it. But with that being said, that would be it for this little update. I hope that you're not worrying too much about the anti-cheat. I mean, there's no need to worry. But with that being said, we will see what will happen tomorrow. Curious to see how the server will perform, of course. And well, with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.